Follow most of the rivers or streams in Whatcom County, and eventually you'll reach the saltwaters of Bellingham Bay and the Salish Sea. But let's stop here, at this boundary area where the fresh and saltwater mix together, known as an estuary.
An estuary is commonly known as the place where rivers meet the sea, and that's where waters from the uplands and terrestrial ecosystems comes down and mix and influence the marine waters.
It's a really unique, special area where there's low salinity, different plants grow there, and it's this microenvironment that is unlike the ocean, is unlike the land. One of the most important things about an estuary is the unique plants and sort of the density of plants.
They rival the tropical rainforest in terms of how much plant material grows.
This abundance of plant material creates an important habitat, providing food and shelter for many of the fish and the shellfish that we rely on.
We need to ensure that this water stays clean for the use of salmon and beaver, and the eagles depend on the salmon, the blue herons depend on the baby salmon. There's a food web that's necessary for existence, and we're not the only ones that live here. You know, the animals live here.
Estuaries do more than provide vital habitat. They also stabilize shorelines, buffer communities from flood and storm surges, filter runoff to minimize pollutants entering the marine waters, and store carbon, preventing this greenhouse gas from entering the atmosphere. Estuaries are a vital part of our ecology, economy, and culture.
So if we take a historical perspective of Bellingham Bay, if you were to come here in the 1600s or 1700s, it would be a shoreline that had forests down to the water. You would have just seen a shallow, mudflat dominated bay. Where I'm standing right now would have been in the mouth of a very large estuary associated with PADDEN Creek. There were estuaries all along the bay.
With the growth of industries such as coal, timber, and fish canneries, our shoreline began to change. The mudflats were hardened with rocks and filled to support the new railroads. The increase in shipping meant dredging the bay, transforming shallow tide flats into deep water ports. Today in Bellingham Bay, we have lost over 282 acres of estuary and nearshore habitat.
They were seen as useless swampy lands that if we filled it in with stone and topsoil, we could build on top of that, and now we have industry and houses that are on the water. At that expansion into the coast, what we didn't fully understand is what it meant to take away these ecosystems.
So in Bellingham Bay, our estuaries are really important to the commercial fishing industry. The fish that come out of the NOOKSACK depend on estuaries and nearshore environments to grow and mature before they go to the ocean. Without estuaries, our fisheries really wouldn't exist. Our most productive, our most valuable fisheries depend on estuaries for healthy stocks.
Estuaries provide vital habitat for more than 75% of the U.S. commercial fish catch, including species like salmon, herring, crabs, and oysters.
See, back in the 70s when I was a kid, we'd be driving down Lummi Shore Road. There'd be cars parked all along there watching the fish kick. Every single net had fish kicking on it. Nowadays, you drive down the road, you might see one fish kicking on the net every now and then. I'm cooking fish on a stick for my stepdad, and he taught me how to do that. I learned how to do that almost 30 years ago. One of the things that worries me the most is, what if these sticks become useless and there's no salmon to cook on these sticks? Who are we gonna be if the salmon are gone? Everybody in Hawaii, everybody depends on salmon one way or another.
Salmon are also critical for orca recovery. Our resident orcas feed almost entirely on salmon, specifically Chinook salmon. Chinook salmon require estuaries and nearshore environments to feed, grow, and migrate.
I think there's a tremendously growing social awareness and even political awareness of the value of estuaries in a way that has changed over the past several decades. And I think it's really unique in the Pacific Northwest that we have this mindset about ecosystems and the value of coastal ecosystems.
Along the shores of Bellingham Bay, there are many projects that help restore estuaries and nearshore environments. The Whatcom Creek Estuary Project integrated landfill cleanup and habitat enhancement by stabilizing shoreline banks and expanding mudflat and marsh habitat at the mouth of Whatcom Creek. Shoreline improvements at Boulevard Park included shoreline softening and additional shallow water habitat for juvenile fish migration. The SQUALICUM Creek Delta Project removed creosote pilings, softened the shoreline, and restored estuarine habitat. The PADDEN Creek Estuary removed creosote pilings, increased salt marsh habitat, and added more native vegetation. By working together, communities are restoring important nearshore habitat.
Well, this is the lower section of the NOOKSACK River, part of our usual and accustomed fishing areas. We've took some old culverts out, make fish passage a lot better. We've raised some roads and put new tide gates in on Marine Drive, try to keep the integrity or increase the integrity of our water system.
So this is Post Point Lagoon. This is one of the 7 pocket estuaries left in the city of Bellingham. We know Chinook use this area, but also endangered species like steelhead and bull trout. The only heron colony in the city of Bellingham is in the trees right behind me.
These projects demonstrate how even along our most developed shorelines, we can bring back lost estuary habitat. With the help of our partners and our community, through efforts such as planting, beach cleanups, water quality improvements, and shoreline softening, we can continue to improve our valuable estuaries for today and for future generations.